Hey guys, what's going on? Back again for another brewery review. Today's brewery is the Lake of Bays Brewery from Baysville, Ontario, of course, up in the Muskoka region. Uh, Lake of Bays are a brewery that really get a lot of flack from the beer reviewing community. They're a brewery that they really play it safe. They do nothing overly hoppy, nothing overly adventurous. They're known as almost like the dad beer of the craft beer world, meaning they make very accessible, easy drinking beers. So starting off here, this is their core lineup. They have four mainstay brands. The first one here is their Rock Cut Baysville Lager. So it's a lager, and it's a light lager at that, 4.2%. This is something you don't see a whole lot of in the craft beer world. Um, Being a light lager. I mean, there are others out there, Camerons and Muskoka. They each make their own lager, and but this is lower ABV. Then they make the Crosswind Pale Ale, 5.0 ABV, I believe. Yep, fairly standard pale ale. If you live in Ontario, our whole market is flooded with this style of beer. One of my favorites. This is their Sparkhouse Red Ale, and it's a very malty, easy drinking beer. I have reviewed this one as well as their 10-point IPA. It's an English style IPA. So again, I'm going to be evaluating this brewery on 5 criteria, and the first being product quality. So what do I think of the beers themselves? How do they represent the style that they're trying to fit into? So to start off with, they make this lager, and they also have a top shelf lager, which I believe has been dropped. Thank God. Um, as it stands as a craft lager, I've had this several times now, and to be honest, I haven't enjoyed it. I almost got a cat spray flavor one of the times I've had it. But again, I think the guys that are into the macro beers, this wouldn't be too far of a stretch to get into. But as it stands, it's not one of the better offerings of craft lagers in the province. The Crosswind Pale Ale, this might be their number one seller, and it is more enjoyable than the lager. It is a standard pale ale. You can find it at a lot of bars in this region. Crisp, easygoing, nothing overly offensive. It's not too hoppy. Crosswind, it drinks almost like a golden ale. It's not as hoppy as other pale ales in the province, like say Naughty Neighbor, for instance. So it's not very true to its style. Sparkhouse Red Ale, great beer. Reviewed it, believe I gave it an 8 out of 10. This is probably the highest ranked beer out of everything I've had from Lake of Bays, which is everything, I believe. Very true to style, very malty, very a nice creamy body. This is, out of the four core offerings, this is by far, in my opinion, the best of their offerings. And then again, the 10-point IPA, I have reviewed this one as well. And I had a little comparison against the Muskoka's Mad Tom and the Lone Pine IPA from Sawdust City. This came in third. I would say this is like an introductory or like a level 1 IPA. So if you've never had the style, you're still new to hops, this will be approachable to you. This is along the lines of the Hops and Robbers from Double Trouble Brewing, but I believe that one even had a higher IBU, a little more hoppiness than this one here. Again, it is an English style IPA, so they're known for more of their like dirty hops. They're not so much like the West Coast styled IPAs that many Canadian breweries mimic here. So for product selection, they have their four mainstay brands here. They may or may not have a second lager. That's their top shelf lager, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. I'm glad. If it's gone, I'm glad it's gone. One lager is enough for any craft brewery. So additional to the four core offerings, they have four seasonals. So they have like the Mocha Porter in the winter, and that's a decent beer. I'd probably rank that equal to Sparkhouse here. It's a good seasonal, but again, it's only offered in those larger 750 format bottles, so it's kind of pricey just for a regular porter. They also make a golden ale. I think it's like a maple golden ale, a ginger ale, and more recently they just added a oak aged lager, so another lager in the lineup of beers. The 10 point here, this used to be one of I think it was their fall seasonal, so it used to be the big, $10 plus bottles, but now they've added it to the core lineup, and it's at a more reasonable price. So for product quality, I'm going to give them a 7 out of 10 for the quality of their beer. For product selection, the seasonals aren't the best. They've just recently started adding this Wild North series, I believe. There was a pumpkin ale and a bock. Both were kind of average, below average to average. Nothing that stands out. So for selection, I'm going to give them a 6.5 out of 10. Now for brewery location, again, they're up in Baysville, Ontario. It's a very small town. It's, I want to say, 3,000 people. They get the traffic in the summer, but they are quite a good distance off from Highway 11, which is the main cottaging corridor up there. So I think, especially in the winter months, that's really going to hurt their business as they're a small town. I don't know if that's large enough to sustain them. I'm going to give the brewery location a 6 out of 10. Now, for product availability, being such a small, like I went to the brewery there a few weeks ago. It's a small brewery, but they seem to have a big presence in both their LCBOs and beer stores, which kind of surprises me. You can find these guys here in pretty much any LCBO that I've been into in Southern Ontario. So they have a decent distribution. A few of their beers, I think the pumpkin and the midnight bock, I believe they were a beer store release only, but again, a decent distribution between those two organizations. So I'm going to give their product availability a 9 out of 10. Now, the final category, product innovation, this is really where Lake of Bays is struggling the most. They've had these established brands for as long as I've known about the brewery itself. They're lucky if they come out with one new beer per year, and that's not great. That's not competitive in this market. The most innovative, like the Mocha Porter, again, that's probably the most exciting beer I've had from them. It's been out for at least the last 3 or 4 years. And again, it's a standard porter. It's not barrel aged. It's not imperial. It's a great porter, but there's nothing that really stands out. They don't do any imperials. I don't believe they've done any barrel aging. They just have that new oak aged lager, which I haven't had. So I'm thinking something along the lines of like an Innocent Gun Light. But innovation, that's something really where they're lacking. I know they're doing pretty decent for themselves. Like they seem to sell a good deal of these guys here, and I guess maybe I'm just not the target clientele for who they're looking to buy their product. Anyways, for innovation, I give them a 5.5 out of 10. That's really the area that Lake of Bays need to improve the most in, and I hope they do. I hope they do improve in the future because they do have Muskoka, Flying Monkeys, and Sada City within close proximity, and those 3 breweries are by far more innovative than Lake of Bays. So overall, that works out to an average of 6.8 out of 10. They are, I would say, a slightly below average brewery. They're not horrible. They are better than some out there. But in my area specifically, they're probably at the bottom of the pack. So 6.8 out of 10 for the Lake of Bays. If you were to go out and try them, the Pale Ale is not a horrible place to start. It's a decent starting place, but I would recommend either the Spark House Red Ale or their Mocha Porter. Until the next one, guys, cheers. See you later.